Hello, third grade. Happy Monday. You are back from spring break and we are starting fourth quarter strong. And today we're going to be talking about ecosystems. So we're just going to talk about different ones. There's going to be 7 of them that we're going to be going over today. And then for homework, it's just going to be pointing out, okay, they're going to give you 2 options. They're going to have 2 different pictures with characteristics. They're going to say which one is a wetland, and you just have to pick which one it is. So a note about wetlands, a wetland ecosystem is often have land that is covered in water. So these are some pictures of what a wetland might be. And the ecosystem is just everything around it, all the organisms. So in geography, a wetland is going to be an environment that combines land and water. It's a distinct kind of ecosystem. So it's the combination of wet and dry areas. And that means there's so many different plants, animals, and insects living in a wetland because they have the dry and the wet. So again, lots of different animals are living here, and these are just some pictures to look at what a wetland might look like. All right, our next ecosystem is a temperate deciduous forest. So now what's special about this area is they change temperatures from season to season. So they're going to have summer, fall, winter, and spring. So that's going to be what they're most notable about. And here are some pictures that show what this ecosystem looks like. So again, what's special about this ecosystem is the leaves change color. They change in autumn, and then they fall to the ground in winter, and then they grow back up in the spring. So you're probably wondering, why do leaves drop their leaves and change colors? They do this because it helps the plant survive the cold. So that's a special fact about this ecosystem. They have lots of trees, and they have 4 seasons. So now we're going to talk about an ocean ecosystem. So this is our tide pool ecosystem. Now these have animals that can live in both in and out of seawater. So they can live in the water or they can live out of the water. And it's seawater, so it is salt water. So we can see we have starfish down here. So this is the tide pool where sometimes it's covered in a lot of water in high tide, and sometimes in low tide it doesn't have as much water. So that's kind of what helps tide pools. Sometimes the water is high, sometimes the water is low, and the water flow is called the tide. So on a rocky seashore, the water will sometimes rise to cover the rocks, that would be high tide, but sometimes they'll go down, and you can see part of the rocks, that would be low tide. But the rocks can be bumpy, and sometimes there are hollows in the rocks. And the hollows can trap some water even after the tide goes down. So a tide pool is just a small amount of water left in low places, as we can see here at the shore, even when it's in low tide. So sometimes there's always water. So now let's talk about a tropical rainforest ecosystem. Now the tropical rainforest is going to be warm and wet all year round. And so in these pictures we see lots of green, we see lots of forest. So what's great about the tropical rainforest is there's so much life there. There's so many animals. It's constantly buzzing with the sounds of birds at the dawn, or chatter monkeys during the day. So there's just so many animals in a tropical rainforest. And then we have our deep sea ecosystem. So this is just like it says, the very deep of the sea. It's going to be dark and it's far from the surface of the water. So they don't get a lot of sunlight. Now the animals here, they either crawl or they stick to the ground. And there are animals that live in the deep, deep sea. And the 3 main sources of energy and nutrients from the deep sea communities are marine snow or whales when they fall, or these are hydrothermal vents and cold seeps. So it's very dark down there. There's not a lot of light. So now let's talk about another ocean ecosystem. We're going to talk about the tropical coral reef ecosystem. Now this is found in the the sun reaches there, it's closer to the surface in the deep sea. And again, since it's in the ocean, it has salt water. So as we can see, this is the coral reef. It's very colorful. There's also lots and lots of animals that hang out by the coral reefs. And because they just attract a lot of different animals. And we can see we have a lot of coral and algae in these ones. So if you maybe have ever gone scuba diving, you might scuba dive in this area. And then our last ecosystem that we're going to be introducing today is our desert, which we should all be familiar about. Desert ecosystems, they're going to be dry year round. As we can see, they don't get a lot of rainfall or precipitation. But again, that doesn't mean just because it's dry, there's still lots of other animals living here. So it has a community of living and non-living organisms living together and interacting in an environment which might, by the looks of it, seem abandoned, but there are animals that live here. So this is our desert. So today, again, we're just going to be going over, they're going to give you clues and hints, and we're just going to be going over selecting and identifying ecosystems. All right, have fun. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, third grade.